Okay, hello fellow jammers. So this next video is going to be entitled Key Signatures and Chord Progressions, okay? So now we're coming to the end of our introductory guitar lesson videos. Hopefully you've all got a little bit of meat on your fingers. And by this point you should have picked up a song or two that you can play with the various strums and the various chords that we've learned so far, okay? I know that a lot of songs are not just going to be the chords. There's always going to be intricate guitar work and finger work going on in between all of the implied chords, right? But that, all that extra fancy stuff should come with time, with patience, and a little bit of practice spent playing with your radio and playing with the many outstanding YouTube videos that are out there on the internet, right? Thank God for YouTube seems to be the word of today for, today's aspiring guitarists. And, it's never been easier to learn your favorite songs as it has been in the internet age. Just don't forget that the artists that wrote those songs didn't learn them off of YouTube. They had to work for it. They had to write. They had to, really get into the nitty-gritty. And they had to get guitar teachers, which I still suggest you do, by the way. Even after us having gone through all these guitar video lessons, I still suggest you get a guitar teacher, because a teacher will tell you things that a video never could. Like they'll tell you about your bad habits, and they'll give you a personal perspective on where you stand as a guitarist and where you ought to be going to next, okay? So the main point that I'm trying to get here is don't just settle for robotically learning all these songs off of YouTube, okay? YouTube's great, mind you, it's an excellent tool. But it doesn't breed artists, it breeds robots and mimes. And in today's musical climate, it's not enough to be a jukebox. You have to really stand out. You have to be a writer. You have to be your own thing in order to really come to your own as a musician in today's time. Now, it's all well and good to be a student at the start, but don't forget that the main goal here, the end goal, is to have you on the computer screen teaching your original songs to all of us on the YouTube community, okay? And so at least that's the artistic end of it anyway. I don't blame you if you just want to learn all these songs and learn some chords so you can bring the house down at the next party that you go to. Both of these goals are understandable, and they're easily achievable. The only limits that we have are the ones we put on ourselves, folks. Okay, so now that we've learned about the intricacies of the inch, we're going to start extrapolating our knowledge into the realm of feet, right? That is, now that we've learned about what makes up a chord and the notes that make up a chord, we're going to start to learn what those chords are moving around, the pillars and the distances that those chords are moving around. Namely, we're going to be learning about chord progressions, which is the progression from one chord to the next. And we're also going to be learning about key signatures, which is like the framework, the pattern, the pillars and distances which all of our chords and chord progressions are going to be moving around in, okay? Now, nothing in music, as I'm always saying, nothing in music is random. Everything is connected to a chain of reason and consequence, okay? Nothing is ever out of place in music, okay? So the first thing we'll do is we'll look at some chord progressions so we can start getting a sense of what a key signature is, okay? So, first of all, a key signature is a collection of related chords. So it can't really be said to have any color, okay? A key signature doesn't really have any color per se. A song that's played in the key of G, okay, you can play that exact same song in the key of E flat, and it'll still be the same song, okay? Just the song played in the G version, the version in the key of G, will still, it'll just be played a little bit higher up with higher notes, okay? It's going to be the exact same song, just the version in the key of G is going to be played higher up, okay? It's on a higher part of the ruler, so to speak. So, but the flavor and the character and the feel of the song would still remain the same, okay? And this is the point, I'm going to bring this point around right now, okay? I'm going to play this song in the key of A, and then I'm going to play it in the key of B. And so it's going to be the same song, the same chord progression, just played a little bit higher, okay? So now this is this song in the key of A. Deep down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans, way back in the woods among the evergreens, there stood a log cabin named Earth and Wood. There lived a little boy named Johnny B. Goode. He never ever learned to read or write so well, but he could play the guitar just like a ringing a bell. Okay, so that's Johnny B. Goode played in the key of A, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that exact same song with the same chord progression and the same feel, the same flavor and everything. It's just going to be played in a higher key signature, okay? The chord progression, the bones don't change, but the key signature, the skin, can change wherever you want to go, okay? So now our skin, our key signature for that same song is now in the key of B, okay? Deep down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans, way back in the woods among the evergreens, where there lived a lot of native earth and wood, there lived a little boy named Johnny B. Goode. He never ever learned to read or write so well, but he could play the guitar just like a wing in a bell. Go, go! Okay? Now that is the same song. That is the same chord progression, just it's just played with different notes, okay? Just like you can recognize the form of a chair no matter what material it's made out of, okay? No matter what material that chair is made of, you always recognize it as a chair. No matter what key signature I play this song in, it will always be recognizable as Johnny B. Goode, okay? That's the form, the chord progression is the bones, the structure of one chord going to the next. That's the chord progression. And the key signature is the ever-changing skin that can go to whatever key signature you like, okay? It'll become a little bit clearer in a minute. So that's an important distinction that I'm trying to make for you guys, okay? Is that the chord progression is like the unchanging bones, the structure of the song. And the key signature is like the ever-changing skin, the shedding skin that you can just change however into whatever key signature that you like, okay? So now we're going to start delving into our actual chord progressions, all right? Now this is a classic Paul McCartney tunes from the Beatles era, and it's in the key of C. Now I want you to notice how the chords in this song always kind of fall back into that C chord, okay? Because C is the root chord of the key of C, obviously, okay? It's the first chord. It's the one chord that all the other chords are just going to sort of float around the key of C like water moving around a solid pillar, okay? And so check it out. This is a great song for beginners, by the way. And it's using our first strum, our strum number 1. Down, 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 just with a little bit of extra flavor. But anyway, check it out. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, yet it be. For though they may be parted, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Right? Ends in that C chord, obviously, okay? And so that song is in the key of C, okay? And it's a great example of a point I'm trying to make, which is that every key signature has a certain set of chords in that key signature that relate to that key signature, okay? So in the key of C, this song, this Paul McCartney song, happens to encompass all the chords that are in the key of C, the key signature of C, okay? When I say in the key of C, I mean the key signature is C, the key of C. So we've got our C chord, we've got our G chord, we've got our F chord, and we've got our A minor chord, okay? So the chords that correspond to the key of C are C, F, G, and A minor, all right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these main chords, the C, the F, the G, and the A minor. Those are the chords that correspond to the key of C, and we're going to play another song, okay? Now we're going to have the same skin. We're going to use the same chords, the C, the G, and the F. Well, this one doesn't have an A minor. This is just the C, the G, and the F, all right? Now, it's the same skin, but it's a whole different song. The two songs are going to be worlds apart, okay? Now check this out, right? Parabalala-bamba, parabalala-bamba, se necesito una poca de gracias, una poca de gracia para ti, ay, arriba y arriba. Okay, so that song is using the same key signature, the same skin, okay? Both of these songs were in the key of C. Now, the key signature is the same, the skin is the same, but the bones, the chord progression is different, right? The chord progression for both of these songs are they're worlds apart, you know. The feel is different, the color is different for both of these songs, the rhythm is different. So the main guts of the song is different, but the skin is the same. We're using it's like we're switching around our chair metaphor now, okay? What we're doing is we're taking the old materials, the same nails, the old splintered nails and wood from a chair, and we're taking all that wood and nails and we're using them to make a new table, okay? That's what we're doing. We're switching our metaphor around now. The form is changed. The chord progression is different, but we're using the same materials to make these two different forms, the same chords and the same notes, okay, to make two different feels, right? It's like taking the parts off your bicycle and using them to make a tricycle, right? We're taking the G, the F, sorry, the C, the F, the G, the A minor, and we're making two different, we're making a bicycle and a tricycle out of the same parts, okay? That's what we've just done. Now, I'm going to play two different songs, one after the other, and they're both going to be in the key of G. Now, you can see, we're going to see the same thing going on. Two entirely different songs with entirely different feels, with entirely different rhythm and color and feeling, right? But they're going to be made out of the same chords, okay? This is in the key of G. And so, in the key of G, we have the chords that correspond to the key of G are the G chord, the C chord, and the D chord, and also the E minor chord. Okay, I'll say that again. The chords in the key of G are the G chord, the C chord, the D chord, and the E minor chord. Now we're going to make a bicycle and a tricycle out of this same skin, out of these same parts, out of the same chords, G, C, D, and E minor, okay? The first one is by an old Canadian artist, yeah, I guess I'll just play it, right? Ooh, baby, on my mind, you're doing something to me all the time. Too drunk and always stoned, I'm drinking, baby, drinking all alone. Don't know what the hell I got, whatever it is, it's an awful lot. Yeah, I'm gonna lose control from my liver to my very soul. Yeah. Alright, now that song, that by the way was Michel Pagliaro from Quebec. He came out in the 60s or the 70s, right? And so we're going to recycle those same chords. We're going to recycle those same chords from the key of G, the G chord, the C chord, the D chord, and the E minor chord. I'm going to take those old materials from that old chair, and we're going to use the same wood and nails to make a new table, a new form, a new song. Okay? We're taking all these same chords, we're going to recycle them in a whole new way. We're going to take the parts off our bicycle and we're going to make a tricycle out of it, okay? Now it's the same chords, but a whole different feel, a whole new song with a whole new style and a whole new color, okay? When the night has come the land is dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see. I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear. just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me. Okay, so those are two completely different songs. But the individual chords being used are the same, okay? It's the same key signature, the same skin of the two songs, only the bones are different, the form is different, okay? Even though the key signature is the same, the key of G for both songs, we use the same chords, G, C, D, and E minor, which are the chords in the key of G. We use the same individual chords, but the chord progression, the bones, the form of the songs were completely different, okay? We've made two completely different songs out of the same materials. Okay, so now we have seen changes in chord progression, okay? We took songs that were in the same key signature, and we played them together, and they sounded nothing alike, right? We've seen how we could have different internal bone structures, different songs altogether, different feelings for these different songs, but they shared the same outer skins, right? The individual chords shared the same names, all right? Now, what if we wanted to have the same song? What if we wanted to have the same song, the same chord progression, played in a different skin? Played in a higher key signature with a different skin, right? What if we wanted to make the same type of chair out of slightly different materials, right? Now we're starting to get a handle of chord progressions, okay? The chord progression is the actual guts of the song. The distance from one chord to the next is what decides the chord progression, and really the whole song structure itself, right? In any given song, the musical distance between one chord and the next is always the same, regardless of key signature, okay? Now I'm going to say that again just to burn it in your brain. The musical distance between one chord and the next in any given song never changes, regardless of the key signature, right? So does that sound familiar to you? If you watched the last video, you would have heard a similar thing, except that was in the realm of inches instead of now we're playing in the realm of feet, right? The bigger picture. Now, let's take a look at this, okay? Everyone recognizes this tune. Sorry, I got a thing in the way here. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Right, so now that was Amazing Grace, played in the key of E. That's kind of a low key to be playing this song in, all right? And so now what most people would do is most people would prefer to play that song in a higher register, in a higher key signature, okay? So what do we do when we have a song, we have a chord progression, but we want to play it in a higher, we want to play it in a higher key? Well, we simply bring everything up. We keep the bones, we're going to change the skin, but we're going to keep the bones, okay? We're going to change the key signature, the outer skin, but we're going to keep the chord progression, the inner bones of the song, okay? So we're going to have the same song played with different individual chords, right? Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me, right? So that was the same song, the exact same song, the same words, the same chords, the same chord progression, the same feel. But the chords, the individual chords, were different. We kept the bones, but we changed the outer skin of the song. We kept the chord progression in the words, but we changed the key signature, all right? And so a few song examples that we're going to play through are going to include what I just did, okay? I just brought a song up from the key of E to the key of G, right? Now see how the E chord, E, is lower than the G chord, G. The G chord is higher than the E chord, right? And key signatures are the same way. If all the chords in a song correspond to the key of E, and you change that song to the key of G, all those chords are now going to correspond to the key of G and are going to be higher. All those chords are going to be higher in the key of G, right? Many good songs are written in the key of E, and they're just too low for a lot of people. And so what most people will do for those songs is they will transpose. Okay, that's a key word for you guys to learn. When you're changing the key signatures of a song, you're going to transpose the chords from the key of E major to the key of G, right? Just like we did for Amazing Grace just now. Now, here is my ingenious diagram of which I'm very proud, okay? If you'll just give me 2 moments. Now, this diagram, you probably remember it from my last video, except it's a little bit different now, okay? This diagram is going to show you what I mean in a more understandable sort of way, okay? Now this higher strip, this strip here, doesn't move, alright? This is going to be our key strip, and this is the strip that, just like in music, the notes just keep going on to infinity. It's implied after the C, it just keeps going, right? Now the bottom strip is the number strip, okay? This movable strip is what delineates where our root chord is and what key signature we are in. Because this is, right now, this is in the key of G, okay? Because G is the first chord, the root chord of the key signature, right? Now, the G is the root chord, and all the other chords in the song are just going to kind of float around this main root chord, the G chord. Though not always. You can have a song in the key of G that never even plays the G chord, but the G chord is still the root chord, the first chord in the key signature in the key of G, no matter what, right? Now, I'm going to materialize for us, if you just give me 1 moment, because this is a very important concept. I'm going to materialize for us a very important chord progression, okay? Now this is a recurring set of chords that shows up in every artist's repertoire throughout history, every musical artist's repertoire throughout musical history. This is the mother chord progression, okay? In fact, I've already revealed it several times throughout these videos. I'm only now pointing it out, okay? So let's think for a moment. What were the chords that were in the key of G, okay? Well, there was the key of G, in the key of G, there was the G chord, the C chord, the D chord, and the E minor chord, okay? And so, now check this out. There's a reason why I've got this strip the way it is, alright? Now remember those chords. We had the G chord, the C chord, the D chord, and the E minor chord. Now, I've cut this little strip out specifically to outline certain important chords, alright? Now, this is going to ring a bell for you, obviously, okay? We've got the first chord, right, which in the key of G is our G, okay? We've got our fourth chord pointed out, which in the key of G is the C, and then we've got our fifth chord, which in the key of G is our D. And then we've also got our E minor here, because the sixth is always going to be minor. I'll explain that in a moment. Now, this is what's called this is the mother pattern, as I said, okay? This is what's called the 1-4-5 chord progression. 1-4-5 chord progression, alright? The sixth chord also tags along in there sometimes as well. But in any case, this is so many songs, so many pop songs have been made out of this unrefined gold ore, okay? This is the 1-4-5 chord progression, as you can see, right? So that's the first chord, the fourth chord, and the fifth chord of any given key signature, okay? Now, this is, if you'll just give me 1 moment. Now, these bones, okay, this bone skeleton chord progression it just keeps coming, you know, from oldies to even some of today's modern songs, alright? Now remember, that's the first, the fourth, and the fifth, okay? And in the key of G, that's the G, the C, and the D, right? Because I'm a picker, I'm a grinner, I'm a lover, and I'm a sinner. I play my music in the sun, right? So that song is the G, I'm a picker, C, I'm a grinner, I'm a lover, and I'm a sinner, right? G first, I play my music to the fourth, the C, and then the fifth, in the sun, back to the fourth, and then back to the first again, okay? Now that is our 1, 4, 5 chord progression. Those are our main chords in that song, in that part of the key signature, okay? Most blues songs circle around this same pillar as well, right? Further on down the road, someone's gonna hurt you like you hurt me. Yeah, further on down the road, someone's gonna hurt you like you hurt me. Further on down the road, that's a D, sorry. Further on down the road, just you wait and see. So that was the G. Further on down the road, someone's gonna hurt you like you hurt me. And then we have the fourth chord, right, the C. Further on down the road, someone's gonna hurt you like you hurt me. And now the fifth chord. Further on down the road, fourth, just you wait and see, right? And then that's back to our G, okay? Now, here's the point that I've been trying to wrap up here all along, okay? We're going to go back to our chords, back to our nifty diagram, right? Now, this is the point that I'm trying to get across, is that remember what I said. It's the same mantra I've been repeating 1,000 times. The distances between one chord and the next in any key signature is always the same. It never changes, okay? So if G is the first chord in the key signature, which it is right now, we're in the key of G, that means A is the second, okay? There's a set distance between the first chord and the second chord, no matter what, in the key signature. And so G is home base, since we're talking about the G right now. So G is the one, and A is the second. Now, if A is the second in the key of G, then B is the third chord in the key of G. Okay, we're talking about the chords in the key signature of the key of the G key signature. Okay, G is the first chord, A is the second chord in the key of G, B is the third chord in the key of G, C is the fourth chord in the key of G. Okay, are you following me? Now, that's just the way it is, folks. I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. If C is the fourth chord, which is one of our important chords, remember there's 1, 4, and 5, right? Now, the fifth chord is D. D is the fifth chord in the key of G, right? And the sixth chord is pretty much always, like I said, the sixth chord is always going to be a minor. And that's just one of those things, it's the way it is, okay? And the reason for that is if we're still in the key of G. Now, if we were playing through our chords in the key of G, and we played an E major instead of an E minor, well, an E major has a G sharp in it. And a G sharp would clash with the G note and all the other notes that are in the key of G, because the G sharp clashes with G because they're so close together. And so that's why we put this little minor mark here, and because the sixth is always going to be minor in any key signature, all right? And so now this is the mantra that I keep repeating. There's a set distance between each chord in a key signature. Okay? There's a set distance between each individual chord in any given key signature that never changes. Okay? C is always the fourth of G, no matter what you do. Okay? No matter how you play around with it. C is always the fifth of G. C is always the fourth of the G of the key of G. D is always the fifth in the key of G, and that just doesn't change. Okay, that is musical distance. See how you have to count up to 3 to get to the C, right? G, 1, 2, 3 in the key of C, or up to the C chord, right? Now that's an important thing. That is this concept of musical distance that I'm trying to get across. All right, the musical distance between the G chord and the C chord
is the first to the fourth, right? Now, this is the point I'm trying to get across. If we're going to switch this up to A now, okay, let's just ignore our F for now, okay? We're in the key of A now. A is going to be the first, D is going to be the fourth, and E is going to be the fifth now, as we can see, okay? Now, the distance between an A chord and a D chord, the musical distance between the first and the fourth, is the same as it is in the key of G. Okay? The distance between the G chord and the C chord is the same as the distance between the A chord and the D chord. And that is what I'm trying to explain to you guys with my mantra that I keep saying. The distance between two chords in any given key signature is always going to be the same, regardless of the key signature. Okay? The first is always a set distance from the fourth chord in a given key.